Souls games are known for their crushing, unrelenting, massive difficulty. Don't look at all that. Hey, stop! Okay, maybe some of these bosses don't live up to the difficulty hype. Today we're going to explore some of those. Only main bosses though, so no Soldier of Godric on this list. He deserves his own video anyways. Obviously, there's a huge level of subjectivity when it comes to boss difficulties, so keep in mind this is just my list for my experiences. Real quick, let's get through some honorable, or dishonorable, mentions. First, we have the folding screen monkeys. Compared to everything else in Sekiro, these guys are an absolute joke. The fight is more of a threat to your sanity than your health bar, as the monkeys mostly just jump away. If you can't figure out the puzzles, you might get mildly annoyed, and then run them down and kill them anyways. The only reason they're not on here is that the fight can take pretty long if you get lost, which you probably will because they're pretty slippery. Second is Mr. Swing and a Miss. That would be called the liar named Dragon Rider. I see no dragons. His saving grace is that he's essentially a tutorial boss, but hot damn, this guy spends more time swinging for the fences than he does at you. Now, off to the real list. Number 10, The Witches of Hemwick, Bloodborne. While I'm a massive proponent of the whole easy does not equal bad statement, there does reach a point where it's just too much. When you're leisurely walking around what is such a horrific scene and are only half worried that you'll take a single hit the entire fight, something went wrong. Part of what makes Bloodborne so scary is the threat of death and what is going to kill you, but if there's no real threat, then it's not really that scary. I will say there is a hint of redemption in the fact that the witches can stun lock you for what feels like an eternity, for such a fast-paced game, meaning almost certain death. If this happens, it goes from 0 to 100 real fast. On the other hand, you can eternally stunlock the witches yourself with some well-timed charge attacks, so I guess that's kind of a wash. If the extremely terrifying monster-looking man in the middle decided to do anything, this fight would be a whole different situation. Even with the resurrection mechanic, it's just a time delay, not a worry for any real hunters. If you made it to this point in the game, this is nothing more than a speed bump. Number 9, the Moonlight Butterfly, Dark Souls 1. Speaking of delays, that's just about all this butter bitch does. Funnily enough, if you come here on low enough flasks and low damage, this can be surprisingly challenging. I've come here with 5 base level flasks and no upgraded weapon, meaning the slight chips at my health over time were crucial, and it took more than a couple cycles to get the Moonlight down. And the battle wore me away. That's the only reason I have this fight this low. Because if you come here too early, you can find yourself in a bit of a pickle if you aren't sharp with your dodges. Outside of that, you could basically stand still and take hits over and over again until you two-shot the thing. Just come here even somewhat equipped and the fight becomes an absolute joke. The laughingstock of Lordran. What makes it even worse is how it makes you just sit there, taunting you, knowing all it's doing is wasting your time. I pray to Lord Gwyn that one day he will randomly strike Miss Moonlight out of the sky so I can point and laugh from a distance, the same way she has to us for all these years. Number 8, the Deacons of the Deep, Dark Souls 3. Okay, so I've heard if you fall asleep at your computer for 10 minutes, the Deacons are capable of an extremely powerful, never-before-seen spell. It can actually one-shot you. For everyone else who's actually playing the game, this fight will be over in just about 30 seconds. There would be a challenge in this fight if it wasn't just so easy to CC swipe across all of the Deacons. If you have any kind of sweeping weapon, this thing can be over in a flash. I suppose if you're doing some sort of troll build like a dagger, then there could be a little bit of frustration in the overwhelming amount of enemies, but hey, that's your fault if you're essentially doing a challenge run. And if you're doing a challenge run, the Deacons aren't going to be a point of trouble for you in comparison to, well, just about everything else in the game. I do give them 0.5 theoretical points for their curse mechanic, although I've never even been hit by it in all of my years of playing. Number 7, Celestial Emissary, Bloodborne. Well, we escaped the horrifying world of Bloodborne for about 20 seconds before the blue goobers came smashing in, brainless, yet confident as ever. I truly admire their blissful gait as they collectively run to kill me. I'll kill them! I'll kill all of them! Fools, I tell you! I regret no. Well, you see, that was a bit, but it's honestly based in reality. I think these guys look and act completely harmless. They hardly pose a challenge, and they are so damn fun to destroy. I don't know what it is, but this is another case of the whole easy does not equal bad. It's essentially basic enemies stacked in the arena, but there's only one of these basic boys that can actually make the big bar diminish. Once you find this guy, you hack and slash your way to an explosive phase 2, where you can continue to hack and slash your way to victory. It's genuinely strange how easy this fight is, especially considering where it is in the game. It's pretty late in your journey, and it's preceding Abritas, one of the hardest fights of the game. Perhaps it was made to be a free Blood Echoes farming spot right before the real challenge, but in any case, I'm pretty happy with the Blue Man group we got. Number 6, Ancient Wyvern, Dark Souls 3. If I exclusively considered the boss itself and the threat it poses, maybe this would be number 1. Because you have to actually try to die to the Ancient Wyvern. There are only 2 possible ways you can die actually trying against this boss. One is getting butt blasted by one of the exceptionally skilled, range-throwing weapon demon dragon mobs stacked in the arena, and 2 is a gravity glitch mishap. God, my rivalry with gravity never seems to end. I got 5 stitches on my finger a bit ago just because this stupid glass said, "Oh, gravity sounds fun, let me jump off this table." Unfortunately, despite FromSoft's best attempts, this was not a winner gimmick fight, and it shows in another one of those leisurely stroll bosses. When the most interesting thing about the fight are the items in the arena and the look of the sky, you know it's not something that gets your heart pumping, desperately searching for keys to victory. In any case, make gravity your bitch and you should be okay. Number 5, Ceaseless Discharge, Dark Souls 1. This guy has a classic case of refractory period. After every slam, he takes about 30 seconds to wind up to do his next wildly telegraphed attack that tends to miss you completely for just about no discernible reason. And this is assuming you're man enough to even fight him the real way. If you're not man enough and fight him the Weenie Hut Jr. way, he will jump into a one-hit snooze fest. Literally, I'm not even joking. You can kill this guy in one hit. He jumps in desperation, trying to get to you, and you just tap his little fingies until he slips down to his own doom. It's kind of sad the more I think about it, but when I consider that Souls is thought of as a brutal, nearly unbeatable series, and then I think of this guy, I really think people gotta step up their game. There are 2 ways to fight this guy, and I think I could get my parents to beat him. In the hard way. That's just nearly inexcusable, and we only just cracked the top 5. It's not all that bad though. I actually quite enjoy this guy just for the sheer goofiness of it, but it's definitely 20 steps removed from the intricate combat the series has become known for. Number 4, Prowling Magus and Congregation, Dark Souls 2. You know how before I said that bosses like Deacons and the Celestial Emissary are basically normal mobs thrown into a room together? Well, rather than being like that, this fight is that. Literally, they're somehow even less interesting and less challenging than the average enemies you find throughout the game. The pews littered throughout the arena give some cover for the pitiful mage assaults, and just about everyone here dies in a couple hits. The only actual challenge can come from the wonky Dark Souls 2 hitboxes cockblocking your ability to actually do damage to the crawly crawlers. But as long as you have cursory knowledge of how to deal with groups, this fight should be over in less than 30 seconds and you shouldn't take more than a few hits of damage. Before I give you my top 3, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more videos. Number 3, Mimic Tier, Elden Ring. Personally, my Mimic Tier is God tier because I have to fight myself. But for everyone else, Mimic Tier can be kind of hard to place because the experience will vary greatly depending on your knowledge and how tryhard you are. I'm sure everyone here knows you can simply unequip your items to fight a completely naked Mimic. But the cool part about this is that the boss essentially has a difficulty slider. You can make it as hard or as easy as you want. Except you literally have to intentionally use a weak build to really struggle against this guy. It's kind of impossible not to place him or her in the top 3. This is another great example of quality and difficulty not being completely intertwined because I think this is a pretty fun boss. But it's placed next to the complete trash disaster of Prowling Magus and Number 2, Covetous Demon, Dark Souls 2. The most rewarding moments of Souls are gripping. They are sitting on the edge of your seat, heart pumping. There are moments where you are 100% in tune with the movement of the boss. You are keyed in a way that you never have been before, and the game becomes an extension of yourself. And then there's Covetous Demon. This is a boss so unbelievably easy, people have actually started beating him blindfolded. They literally can't see the boss, and they win. He's sluggish, fat, and goofy. But does he pose any real threat? Well, he actually does have a pretty decent sized damage output, but his unbearably long 1 to 2 hit combos with 20-second windups give you more than enough time to dodge and prepare. If you fall asleep at your computer like Deacons and get hit, you have plenty of time to recover and heal up before jumping back into the action. This makes dying to him so much harder than actually killing him. You'd have to try to die to him again, which is what I want sometimes when I'm playing Dark Souls 2. Okay, on to the next one. And the number 1 easiest boss of the series is Pinwheel, Dark Souls 1. I mean, it wasn't going to be anything other than our pathetic pinwheely friend. I think the real problem of this boss is the challenge of the preceding area. If the Catacombs wasn't such a pile of dog shit-ass crap difficulty in the early game, then players who haplessly wandered into the skeleton's abode wouldn't be sent running instantly. If they could manage this area, then they'd fight Pinwheel early and yabbity yabbadoo. The thing is, people get kicked out of Skellyland and go beat half the game, only to return and decimate this guy in 3 hits. He's actually kind of a cool boss with some cool mechanics and music and lore, but has the HP bar and damage output of the Asylum Demon. I can't understand why they haven't patched in some extra HP onto him yet. Maybe they are embracing the meme of his unrelenting challenge. It's too bad because there was potential here, but anyways, that's my top 10 easiest bosses of Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro and Elden Ring. But what about you guys? Let me know your easiest bosses down below, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.